Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We'll probably have a few stragglers come in shortly after, but happy to have all of you. We've got a good little group of people, minus our CTO. He registered and signed in 15 times. So if you're talking to Chris Wheeler, it may not be the real Chris Wheeler. So just keep that in mind. My name is Elizabeth. Most of you guys know me already. I'm actually the head of operations here in the front end dev, and I'm the one that gets to talk to most of you. I get the pleasure of doing that. My co-owners, peers are also in the chat as well. They'll be available to talk with you guys. If you've got any questions, drop them in the chat at any time. We're really excited to have this first webinar with you. We're really excited to have these three folks that are joining us. Brent, Ian, and Chad have all been partners with us for a good while here. And so looking forward to telling you a little bit about how they're using our product and maybe give you guys a couple ideas on how you can use Tier 2 and HELPDESK buttons a little bit more in your day-to-day processes. So let's get started a little bit. I've got my little welcome, new format. Hope you like it. We really want to make sure that these are valuable to you. We're kicking back and forth some ideas on getting you set up with sessions on learning how to use some of our tools, our automations and stuff. Some of those things are really kind of, they take a little bit of thought and a little bit of practice. And so we're going to try a few different things, but as always, we want to hear from you. So let us know what you like and what you don't like. And we'll, as always, with all of our features and with this as well, we'll include those things. A few things to remember. Today's topic, obviously, like I said, we've got 3 MSPs that are going to tell you a little bit about how they use Tier 2 and HELPDESK buttons, specifically how to save time, how to close sales, how to improve services, and strategy. So a lot of S words, a lot of really useful things that hopefully you'll be able to take away from this as well. The last thing I do want to mention is you may hear some of the features that are mentioned that sound unfamiliar to you. We've got a great cross-section of partners that have showed up here, and I've kept in touch with most of you. Some of you guys are new. You were with us from the very beginning. You saw us when we were on Reddit, and we have grown. We've added a ton of features. So I just want to, as we're talking here, as our wonderful panel mentioned some of the things that they've implemented. It may sound unfamiliar, and that's a great thing. Go check it out. So you may want to, some of you were with us since version 0.3 or 0.6, and we've added a ton of things in that amount of time. So really, really excited for what we've got here today. I want to go ahead and introduce you to our panel. First guy is Brent Goodfellow. Hey there, Brent. Brent is, this is not his first rodeo. He has been in the MSP world for a while. He built and sold his own MSP. He worked as a CPA, and he joined the iTech team in Las Vegas in June of 2020. So he's been adding his expertise to a growing team. Really, really cool. I have a note on here that he keeps threatening to retire. That was one of the things I talked to the owner of iTech. He's like, oh, Brent can't leave. But I love it. I think that he enjoys the challenge and reward. Thank you for joining us, Brent.
Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Pin you right there. Our next friend on the panel is Chad McDonald. Chad is up in Michigan at ITPartners Plus. He has held multiple positions. I was trolling your LinkedIn earlier, and it's been really, really cool to see how well-rounded your approach has been. And so I love that perspective that you'll bring to this panel here. So excited to have you.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks, Elizabeth.
And then rounding out our panel, we've got Ian Richardson. He was actually, Ian's really special to me. You guys are all special to me, even the people that are not on the panel today. But Ian was actually the first person to buy HELPDESK buttons. It was actually the surprise. I was like, who is this person buying our product? So he built his own MSP, Doberman Technologies, which he sold recently, and he started a consulting business, Richardson Consulting, which he runs with his better half and with Carrie. So anyway, we're thrilled to have him on board to share some of his insight, not only as an MSP owner and operator, but as someone who is kind of looking at things from a strategy consulting position. Thank you, Ian.
Glad to be here. Always good to be number one.
I love it. So, oh, and I guess I got busy talking about you and I didn't go through your panel there. But so today, like we said, we want to give you guys some insight. One of the big things that we have, or I've experienced, I've talked to thousands of MSPs here, is everyone wants to know what everyone else is doing. You're always curious. You want to know, get some visual on how to use Tier 2, how to use help desk buttons. And so I want to kind of give everyone just a visual on, what your history is as a company, just to kind of, give people a feel for how you're using Tier 2. So we'll start with that. So Brent, will you give us a little bit of information? Will you kick us off and tell us about iTech and the history there?
iTech Las Vegas started in 2007. We have about 60 customers. We specialize in automobile dealerships. So the vast majority of those 60 customers are automobile dealerships. It's a kind of a unique vertical. And I'm not going to spend time going into the demographic and the type of end user that we deal with there. But Tier 2 tickets matches very well with that demographic. We have 10 people. And our top line revenue last year was just over 3 million. So we run pretty lean and mean with 10 users and pretty efficient.
Very cool. Chad, will you give us a little rundown on ITPartners Plus?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're a newer MSP, launched out of a break fix operation that's probably close to 20 years old at this point. And the owner of that company really said it's a hard thing to turn a break fix company into an MSP. Let's just birth a new MSP from the get-go. And it's been pretty effective for us. We're really working in kind of two spaces. One, the fully managed space that a lot of the folks here probably do in day-to-day. And then the other part of our business is really the co-managed space where we're augmenting existing IT teams, usually small teams, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, with the things that they don't have time to do. So that's been a really growing part of our business. And really interestingly, a lot of what those people need is someone to man their help desk because they've got the higher level guy who doesn't want to touch every single ticket. And so that's been a real good play for us to be able to offer a lot of things, anything from help desk all the way up to, server work and network administration and all that. So really cool, fast growing company. We've got about 16 people right now. We've got 4 open positions posted. Top line revenue around the 4.5 million mark, looking to close 5 million at the end of this year, and just loving it here in West Michigan.
Awesome. So moving on to our last person and our other Michigander. Ian, will you tell us a little bit about Doberman and also what you're doing with your new consulting?
Yeah. So Doberman, I founded Doberman back in 2005. And as Elle mentioned, I sold it at the end of last year to my brother. So he owns it. I'm not going to share revenue figures on a company I don't own, but I can say that we always, as a strategic point, tried to stay between 1,500 and 2,500 endpoints. So you can kind of run the math from there. And Alex, no, you can't. Cut that crap out. Doberman had a big focus in healthcare because I grew up in a medical household. My dad ran his own family practice. My mom was a neonatal intensive care RN nurse. So talking healthcare was nothing but a family thing. And from the get-go, we focused on security and compliance. So it started off with CFR 45 and PCI, and expanded out into SEC compliance, dabbled into CMMC, that type of stuff. So security and specifically compliance and regulatory compliance was where I played. And Richardson's a strategic management and consulting agency. And being from the IT space, there's a large focus on the IT space. So it's just about helping out the industry that helped me out.
I love it. I really, that was one of the things I was excited about with bringing the 3 of you on board is we really do have the spectrum of, Ian, like you said, you're concerned about EPHI and, health compliance. And then we've got car dealers that, there's different reasons why you would want to have tier 2 tickets or the help desk buttons for each of those situations. I mean, the bottom line is still that people are pretty busy, but I'd love to hear from you guys on what kind of brought you to tier 2 tickets. Was there something in particular that stood out to you that you wanted to solve, a problem that you wanted to solve, or kind of what was that process for y'all? So Brent, you mind kicking us off?
Nope. We took a look at tier 2 tickets. It was brought to our attention by PAX8, which I know many of you have partnered with PAX8. We took a look at tier 2 tickets because we were definitely looking for ways to become more efficient. And the type of end user that we have with automobile dealers, there's a tremendous amount of churn. So think about a salesperson that thinks they're going to sell 10 cars a day. They start out, with lots of optimism, and then it just doesn't work out. And so they move on to something else. And so we deal with an awful lot of onboarding and offboarding of new folks. It's just the nature of the business. And we have implemented tier 2 tickets to automate that onboarding, offboarding process, and it has saved us a ton of time.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next section. But Chad, will you give us a little rundown on why you guys came to tier 2?
Yeah, absolutely. I found it on a Reddit post, which I'm sure many people here, use Reddit maybe daily, maybe at least weekly, to kind of figure out what's going on here and there. Again, always trying to figure out what someone else is doing and if they're doing it better than you are. But I saw a guy in there talking about this help desk button, and then clicked on it, clicked through, and I thought, man, that's cool. Like it instantly reminded me of the Staples "that was easy" button, but for your computer. And one of our core values at IT Partners are do great work, think big, and make it fun. And it's kind of like, how do you make tech support fun? Like everyone's just stressed out their computer doesn't work. And I'm not kidding you, like people have actually told us it's kind of fun to hit the button, because it's like a little bit of magic happens and it worked really fast and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of knew it was for us at that point, just because it was so different, and it's still different than what a lot of people do in terms of how do you get help. So we took it on, we brand it with a little sticker that has our logo on it. Our end users love it. So, I mean, from that one Reddit post to some discovery, it was early days. It was a beta product back then. It did not have near the feature set that it had now, but it still did one thing really well, and that was make it easy to get support. So that was our big driver.
Awesome. Chad has a really good video that he'll share in our next section, but
Yeah.
we won't tease that too much. Ian, will you tell us a little bit about the early days there and what drew you to tier 2, what problems you're wanting to solve?
Yeah, so I'm going to be unique. I'm relatively certain I can guarantee I'm the only person on this call that my wife told me about it. So Carrie had been down there with Elle and Alex and the rest of the team doing some consulting, and she called me up after I think day 1 or day 2 and said, "Hey, look, you're gonna want to have this conversation. You're gonna want to talk with these guys." And I hopped on a quick demo and I was sold immediately. The big thing that was running through my head was an overarching strategic dropout of our plan about time on ticket. And by time on ticket, I'm talking about the time spent by our team from when the ticket opens to when the ticket closes. So how much time per ticket has to be logged to kill that issue or resolve that issue. And that was a key metric that had dropped out of our planning and management process. And this was an answer to it. So I think I signed up right then. I said, "So how do I buy it?" And I don't even know if there was a payment portal yet or anything like that. It was like, okay, well, we'll set you up with a demo. And I said, "I don't need a demo. Like, let me buy it. Like, let's get it set up. I'll throw in my American Express. Let's get this thing going."
Yeah, I think frankly we were all like surprised because it was very early days, very much so like imposter syndrome. Like, who's gonna buy this? Like, we love it, we use it for our MSP, but like, who's gonna really put the money behind it? And you're already there, so like we literally had to like figure out the process for you. So it's definitely a good memory. But I love that, and yeah, more of you should listen to your wives. I think it's the moral of that story.
Right.
regardless. So I think this is kind of the big question for a lot of the folks that why Paxate. I saw that comment there. I both same. Anyway, so I think this is one of the big questions that a lot of our partners have. Is how are other people implementing Tier 2? How do I get the most out of it? And I think, you know, we've kind of gone back and forth. We've talked about how we've evolved so much from those early days that we posted our beta on Reddit for you guys, and then we've added so many features. There's a lot of people that kind of like see it and they get deer in the headlights. Like, okay, I hear that I could do a bunch of things with this, but what actually matters? So I would love for you guys to kind of give us a little bit of information on what you're implementing. What portions are you just doing Tier 2 tickets, the software? Are you doing the physical button? Are you doing any of the automations? And then what we can come back around to how you're implementing and how you're bringing in user adoption. But Brent, will you give us a little information about what you guys have set up?
Yeah, you bet. I think we've implemented just about everything, maybe except scripts and the physical button. But we have implemented a couple of the AI pieces, the toast notifications, and dispatch rules.
Can you give us a little information on what automations you're using? Because you mentioned that you use some to save time or for onboarding.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we offboard or onboard an end user, depending on what their job role was, there's a list of software that has to be turned down or turned up, as the case may be, that kind of thing. And we actually developed a form, which is tied into AI. And so if a request comes in to add a new resource, the AI picks up on that and actually directs the end user to the form. They're able to fill out the form. All of the form information is included in the ticket information that comes into ConnectWise, and it just streamlines the whole process for us.
Very good, very good. Mr. Chad, how are you guys using Tier 2?
So for us, because of where we started, and again, I mentioned like our core values. To us, it was all about ease of use, and then really just getting information to our technicians faster. One of the things we figured out in our demo was that we get way more information from a help desk button press than we'll ever get from someone sending an email, putting in a phone call, or anything else. It's like the richest information submission method for a problem. And so we said, well, if it's the best, then we want the most people to use it. So our adoption was really around getting people excited, getting our partners excited to use the button, and getting the button to them. We've since, looked at some automations to put in place for things like new user setups. Like Brent mentioned, there's a form that has to get filled out almost every time someone hires somebody. So that's kind of our stage 2. We're kind of working on that right now. And we're really we have 180 partners. We have a lot of partners. So we're still just working on rolling out buttons to all of them. We originally reserved it as kind of a top tier thing, like only the best of the best customers are going to get this. And then we realized, no, everybody needs this, right? Everybody should have it because, again, it's the best way to submit a ticket. From their side, it's the easiest. From our side, it's the richest. And so it's just a win all the way around. The marginal cost of the hardware buttons and the monthly fee are far made up for in the time efficiencies gain and the overall customer experience improvement too. So that's really, been kind of our approach, is making it fast, making it fun. And really, getting the best information we can get on our side.
I love that you mentioned that. Oh,
do you mind if I play that video real quick? This is just something we put out to our partners to get kind of some enthusiasm around it. So when we showed up with buttons, they were like, "Oh yeah, I saw that video." So let me see if I can share my screen and play this real quick for everybody.
While you're queuing that up, I love that you brought up the, reserving it for top tier partners versus everyone else. We've had a few groups that they, only use it for, this is a specific tier of service, or versus our, white glove or whatever. And so I love that you were able to connect those dots for us here.
Yeah. All right, here's the video. Hopefully it'll come through.
Hi, John.
How did you get here?
Thanks for submitting a ticket. Looks like you're having a printing issue. I've actually seen this one before. Do you mind if I,
Sure.
All right. Anything else we can help you with?
Looks like we're all set. Was this button magic?
I love that. We showed it to the team and everyone was like thrilled about it. We were immediately like, I love this. This is better than any of the other marketing we've ever done. And if you guys didn't notice, the person requesting help was Chad. That was his debut acting there. Unless you've done other work, Chad.
Well, that was a couple years ago, but yeah, it was fun.
I love it. So, I mean, and I think that's a really great kind of aspect is we're gonna get into talking about differentiating, your business or whatever. But I love that you guys talk about it being fun, about being able to give someone that ease of experience, and that's really one of the core parts of our product is eliminating the stress that goes along with putting in a ticket. Ian, will you give us a little bit of information about how you guys implemented Tier 2?
Yeah. I mean, Brent and Chad really kind of hammered home the key points. So I'll kind of talk about a little bit about strategy on this. As I mentioned, when we initially put this in, this was an efficiency play for me. So I was trying to squeeze more productivity out of my desk by removing time on ticket, but Chad really nailed it. It's about user experience. So when we looked across all of our tickets and all of our technicians, both higher tier and lower tier, there's about 6 to 8 questions that we needed answered every time to be able to successfully resolve a ticket. And these are the basics that everybody gets, right? Who's impacted by it? When did it start? Where does it, is it intermittent? Can you recreate it? Some of those basic no-brainer questions, but you need them to be able to solve the issue. And so we really focused on using the buttons to eliminate needing to do those asks. And whenever you can get rid of a frustrating question or a callback or a hey, we need more information before we can move on to this, it improves efficiency on the desk and improves the experience for the client. So the metric we started looking at was first touch resolve, which started to track up. So the first interaction with the service team, the issue would be solved. And that was kind of the proof in the pudding, is that with these tickets versus a normal ticket, you would see a higher first touch close rate. And that was kind of proof of, hey, the diagnostic information is useful. The rich information that's coming in is useful. The prompts through the forms and getting a little bit more detail out of the customer versus a email that says it's broken, please fix it. The first question that your team's going to ask is, okay, what's it? Right? What are we talking about here? So getting the end users to be able to submit a more well-rounded ticket played across the company quite a bit. The other big piece about it is it's easier for the customer. When something breaks, their line of business app goes down, their EMR's down, their x-rays down, whatever, right? Like stress levels through the roof. It's like when you're driving your kid to the school and you get a flat tire, right? Nobody's having a good day when they're calling your service team. So having those prompts does the same thing that like a disaster recovery plan does when the building catches on fire. Everybody knows you need to call your insurance guy, but you might not remember the name of the company when the building's on fire. So they don't really, like an end user, unlike to us, who's like, well, duh, you need to remember when the issue happened and who it impacts and all of that. The end user who's in the middle of a super stressful situation doesn't remember those basic questions. So having a form that can pop up and prompt them the same questions every time to make it so that they don't have to remember was a key user experience strategy for us. So it's kind of a little different perspective. These guys are way more technical than I am, so I'm always going to be talking strategy and sales.
Well, I mean, I think that's a really great segue, because that's, I mean, anyone on this call that I've talked to, I've literally been promising white papers for the last year. We have numbers. I promise I'm going to make those white papers. But I think it's really good to hear from actual living people versus a piece of paper on, like you're saying, you implemented this for efficiency purposes. How are those benefits actually shaking out? Are it shaking out in time? Is it shaking out in dollars? How is your team reacting to it? How are your clients reacting to it? So Brent, will you give us a little insight in how you're actually our newest panel. You've been with us for 8 months, maybe. So how's it been shaking out for you guys?
Good. I think adoption was our big struggle, at least initially, and we really considered rolling out the buttons, the physical button, and we may still do that, but we just decided with our user base that we were going to just push out the software and put a shortcut on the desktop and then try and educate our end users, and that's worked pretty well adoption wise. We still have a few people that are not using help desk buttons, and they don't realize they have a shortcut on their desktop, so maybe the physical button would help there. But for the most part, it's been adopted pretty well. They know that when they have an issue that they have to initiate their ticket by using that shortcut on their desktop, and then the software does the rest. It provides us with background information on what the machine's doing. It gives us a short video of what the user did just before they had the issue. A lot of times, if an error message shows up and then disappears, then that video captures it for us, and we don't have to ask the user to recreate the issue for us.
So much of that, like you're saying, like that the inefficiencies of just dealing with humans, being able to kind of cut those out intentionally. That's really good. Mm-hmm. Chad, what benefits have you guys seen from Tier 2 other than it being more fun for your end users?
Our adoption piece was fairly easy in terms of placing them at sites and then sending along a tech to just demonstrate how to use the buttons. But what we have seen is that once they're placed, they become pretty instantaneously the most popular form of submitting requests for support, just because it is so easy to use. On the tech side of it, our guys love getting tickets like that. One of the things that we've found that it's really good for is intermittent issues, because and your techs know intermittent issues are the worst, right? This happens every other week or once a month, or sometimes, but not always. And what we'll coach people to do is say, hey, when it happens, hit the button, because we know we get that data that's wrapped around the event a little bit before, a little bit after, and right during, to say what was happening on the computer at that time, because they're really bad at describing, again, what was happening on the computer at that time. But if we can get some data wrapped around it, then a lot of times we discover the secret, that little thing that matters about why that intermittent issue is happening. So I think that's one of the biggest benefits. The other thing is getting people to submit tickets that are in places that are hard to call back. So like in a specialist office where you have computers in every room, but not phones. And there's something going on in that room. The front desk gal is hair on fire trying to just get people in and out of the office and do appointments and all that. She barely picks up the phone. But if they can hit the button, and we have, the checkbox in there that says it's okay to connect to my computer right now, meaning as soon as you get this ticket, just go for it. That, and Ian mentioned it too, that just takes our ticket resolution time down several notches. I mean, we're talking about inside of minutes instead of 2 days of callbacks and I'm not available and, well, we're closed on Thursdays and all this kind of, stuff you deal with. So those are probably two of the really big tangible benefits: the intermittent issues, making that so much easier, and then getting on the systems right away in hard to reach places.
That's really good. I know I want to just take a second, and there was a question in the audience, and I know Alex, you've already answered a little bit here, but the question was kind of how do you retrain users who have been emailing support at yourcompany.com for eons. Like, how do you retrain them? So I know that's been kind of an adoption thing for, I mean, all of us. That's something we experience with our own MSP as well. Did you guys have any, like Chad, you mentioned having a technician go out and sit down with them and show them how to use it. You guys have any experience with kind of moving that needle for adoption personally?
I just use a stick.
Sticks are good.
Just
I think
beat
I've
'em.
got one here. Yeah.
No, this is a good area for me to kind of pop in at. What you want to do, and this works both on prospect and existing customers. You need to talk to the money person at the organization. CFO, CEO, managing director, office manager, if it's kind of a medical or a healthcare practice administrator, et cetera, the person who's in charge of money, that's the person who this will resonate with. So we did this heavy with prospecting. With our existing customers, I just trimmed out a piece. But if you think about the way people submit tickets, it's one of two ways in general in small business. Either everything runs through a gatekeeper and that gatekeeper interacts with the service team, or everybody kind of submits whatever they want in whatever way they want to the help desk. So some people send a text message, some people use a chat, some people send an email, other people call the phone. It's very non-standard and everyone kind of does their own thing. When you talk to the money person and you're either saying, hey, look, this is like, how much time is your gatekeeper spending collecting, triaging, diagnosing, doing all these things that you're already paying me to do quite a rich rate. So you're double paying for something. Or how often are we having to do a multi-touch interaction with your team to close an issue because look, here's the ticket we got. It's broke, fix it. Like, what would you do with this? What would your first question be if I came to you and said, it hurts, fix it? What's it? So having that conversation and then showing them the payroll impact to their team, asking some of those intentional questions around how much money, what's the burden cost per hour of your gatekeeper? What's the burden cost per hour of the doctor, of the mid-level, of the receptionist? What's the revenue potential of each of those employees? So not only the cost of goods sold or the labor cost, but the lost productivity cost working on IT issues. You run the math out in a spreadsheet and it is staggering if you're able to reduce on someone who submits 50 tickets a month, 10 minutes per ticket multiplied out across the user base. It is staggering the money that you can show them from this. And you just say, look, this is free. This is bundled into the service. It's a way to make it easier. We want you to use this versus a different methodology because it drives the time down. Bonus, it makes it simpler for your team and it's a unified way so that we know we're getting the same information from it. There is no pushback on resolution time. Well, we can't get a hold of this person. We can't get a hold of that person. If they want us to log in and fix it, just like Chad mentioned, they just check the box and it gives us permission. It's also better for auditing in every way, shape, and form. So kind of walking through a monetary case with the person in charge of finance at the organization, you get the money person on your side, I guarantee you that champion will beat it into everyone. It will become policy that you will do it this way, but you got to get a champion in the organization.
I think that's a really good point. It's so interesting when not only are you able to get your technicians on board, when technicians are on board and they see the value of Tier 2, they're going to be asking their end users to put in tickets through Tier 2 tickets. This is probably also a really good place to mention some of you folks, you haven't looked at our product in a while. We've added the ability to pull our report on demand. We also have a pin to taskbar icon for launching the software. So no more is the icon gonna get lost on the desktop. So these are all features that we rolled out in the last year. So if you haven't checked this out in a little bit, please log into your account and download a new version or update, to our general availability build. You'll be pleased. So thank you for that, Ian. I think it's a really good point. Sometimes you've got to take it from the top down, and sometimes what our product tries to do is kind of like take it from the bottom up. So if you can approach it from both angles, hopefully you'll find that happy medium. Go ahead.
Yeah, the other big piece on this, right? Like there's no silver bullets in IT management or the managed service space, right? There's no magic tool that solves all problems for us, right? But like not having smart diagnostic details is like not having a process or not having IT documentation. You're trying to do a cartwheel with one hand behind your back. So like, yes, you can do it. It is possible, but there's zero reason to make it more difficult on yourself. So.
And I just want to add here that the way we dealt with the adoption piece, not using the buttons, we have a staff person that is, very personable. And Elizabeth, you've met KT. KT, she's very technical, but whenever she goes on site, she acts like a psychiatrist for the end users. She's listening to all their problems. She sent out a series of constant contact emails, kind of making everyone aware of how they open a ticket. And that kind of really solved the adoption problem, not using the physical buttons for us.
That's really good. And I think we were talking about that in the green room beforehand, where there's a lot of technicians that, we have a hard time, not technicians, owners as well. We have a hard time saying what's so special about what we're doing. And sometimes it's just a conversation. Sometimes it's just, hey, did you know that we're solving tickets 60% faster, which that's in a white paper that's coming up. We actually have numbers from people who are saving 60% of their time to diagnose and resolve tickets. We're saving you, like these are direct costs that we're saving, that we're passing on to you. And like, it's just having a conversation about, what you're already doing. And it's sometimes it's hard to put yourself out there like that, even though you're running a business. So I love that. Thanks for that input there. So there was one more thing that we kind of talked about in our pre-talks that I would like to spend a little bit longer on. I know that we are, I've been enjoying talking to you guys. So, but in our pre-talks, we discussed specifically the strategy aspect of Tier 2. We talked about, specifically those numbers. And I know, Ian, you spent a little bit of time working through some numbers. I don't know if you want to share that, or Brent and Chad, if you want to, if you had any input that you'd like to share there. We just want Ian to do the school blackboard it.
Ian's got the data. Yeah.
Well, I'm a math guy at heart. So I'll share out my screen. Just kind of make sure that everything pops up. And if people are able to see that, that's good. And if not, well, sorry. But like this becomes a math problem when you're talking about impact and kind of cascading impact of products like this. So if you've got 8 working hours a day and your fully loaded tech is $55,000 a year. Now that's base salary, bonuses, healthcare, employer side of taxes, 401k, work comp, insurance, whatever else you might want to go into there. Say that person runs you about 55,000 all in. That's $26.44 an hour. You got 26 pay periods if you're every other week, 80 hours a week, $26.44. You can change your math if you're twice a month or once a month or whatever it might be. If you're currently running that it takes on average 60 minutes from open to close to kill a ticket, that means that one tech can do 8 tickets a day. Conveniently, that means that your cost per ticket is $26.44 an hour. If you reduce it to 50 minutes per ticket, that's kind of getting that down there by that, 15% or something like that. You're at 9 tickets per day. I'm discarding any sort of partial ticket here, right? Like you've gone up from 8 to 9. You have $26.44 a day of free labor because you've got 1 ticket now back. It costs you less money to solve tickets. Next part of this math problem, think about how many tickets per endpoint per month you have, right? So one PC generates this many tickets on average per month. Over a 2-year analysis of the data set across all industries, all clients, all sizes, we averaged out to be about a half ticket per endpoint per month. So that means that 1 ticket supports 2 endpoints. You got 2,000 endpoints, you got about 1,000 tickets a month on average. If you can handle 1 extra ticket a day, you can handle 2 extra endpoints a day worth of support. Now you start to get math, right? If you've got 21 working days in a month, that's 42 extra endpoints worth of tickets per tech. Because not every endpoint generates a ticket every day. That's the way the math works. What do you bill per endpoint per month? If you multiply that out by the extra endpoints that could be supported by your current tech team, that's extra MRR on the table. And even if the math, right? And so there's assumptions in this math. If the math is 50% as effective, okay. If it's 25% as effective, okay. Math that out. So if you charge a simple $100 an endpoint a month, and you have 5 techs, and you're getting a 25% efficacy on this math, one of those techs is free because of the extra MRR that you can support and bring in and sell.
Mm.
And the really overarching aspect on this is take all of this away and say you don't make an extra dime. You just manage to, hey, I reduced my time from 60 minutes to 50 minutes. Well, I've yet to be able to find a managed service customer that gets pissed at me when I'm solving their problems faster. I am still looking, but I've yet to be able to find one. So the math really, really kind of like the ROI on this is absolutely insane. And it doesn't have to hold dollar for dollar or endpoint per endpoint or whatever, right? Like at different areas, a 10,000 seat MSP is going to have different data than we do. If you're focusing in the 500 user count versus the 20 to 60 space that Doberman played in, that's going to be different, right? So your mileage may vary, but math this problem out yourself and see what the ROI can be. And that really can drive this home.
Yeah, I really appreciate you doing that math. Alex did also drop in the chat our math tool, our little calculator. So if you guys don't want to do that math, you want to just drop into a calculator, you can do that. But I really appreciate that thought. And I appreciate the that you're kind of couching it. Like we're very conservative in our numbers. We don't want to make any big wild, we're not salespeople. I mean, you guys have all talked to us. I would much rather be just talking to people, I guess, as a salesperson, but the rest of the guys, they just want to make cool things. Billing is the least interesting thing that we do. But I love having that conversation around, even if you just do this conservatively, even if you just put it on the back of a napkin, it's going to work out for you in the end. So Brent, Chad, were those kind of similar things that you guys saw in your companies and when you were kind of making the decisions here?
Well, I said I wasn't going to share anything, but let me share something real quick, because this is something that we kind of look at on a daily basis, and I hope you can all see that now. Mm-hmm. You can see that we have roughly 120 tickets on our 2 main help desk boards, and our time per ticket to resolution is 21 minutes, and that's gone down significantly since we implemented the help desk buttons. So this is something that we watch on a regular basis, and I won't go into the details of that eye chart, but we take a look at this, and it's updated regularly in real time from the stats that are coming out of ConnectWise.
That's fantastic. Yeah, 20, go ahead.
One of the other things that we talked about a little bit yesterday in our pre-call too is just the number of comments. I think Ian noticed this too, but like the word fast just starts showing up in your CSAT reviews more and more and more, because it is so quick, and people get that. We've got all the information in our fingertips. We talked about how technicians, when everything is laid out in front of them and they have all the information they need to do their job, they're incredibly quick at doing it, and they love to get that stuff done. But when there's just one roadblock, whether it's I can't get a hold of this person, I don't have the right information, the login I need isn't working, it's like roadblock. It could be roadblocked for days. They would move on to something that's easier, that has everything lined up for them to fix. And so the better job we can do, again, of getting the diagnostic information and putting everything in front of them so they can solve it fast, they're going to go faster. And then the clients are going to, receive that uptick in, wow, that was really great. So, I mean, our CSAT scores have been great. I think a lot of people have great CSAT scores, but again, that word fast, that was so quick, keeps coming up and up and up. And that really takes the customer experience from really good to like, a raving fan status, where they'll go around and go, these guys are amazing and you need to work with them.
Yeah, the fast is one of those magic feedback words that you look for. In the absence of fast, that means that like it's not fast in their eyes. So if they're not saying it's fast in commentary, there's a problem, and it's lurking beneath the sheets. So, and I mean, everyone here, I don't think there's anyone on the call who's probably following the strategy of, hey, I'm racing to the bottom, I'm going to be a cost competitor. That doesn't work out long term as a business strategy. So ensuring that you have service dialed in and customer experience really dialed in, so that there isn't that objection, right? Like, why am I paying X for service that's down here, right? That price objection only becomes an objection in the absence of value. And one of the easy to understand values that from receptionist to owner that will understand is, man, that these guys are fast. Like, we push a button and it goes away. So
that's really good. That's really, really good. I love that. Our goal from the beginning was to do something fast, and we've added all of these workflow tools to just help technicians along the way. If you guys haven't already checked out, you guys mentioned CSAT. So if you guys haven't already checked out the remote access tool we've been working on, Log In With Me, we'll actually be adding a CSAT tool to that. But that's just something to be used in conjunction with whatever tools you have on board. So looking forward to just continuing to create things that help you guys work faster and more efficiently, and hopefully retain good high-level technicians as well as good high-level clients. So we're about 10 minutes till, and I mentioned advice, but do you guys have any burning advice you'd like to give people, or can we just roll this into the Q&A?
just make a strategy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't just throw it out there. Make a strategy around communication. Communication's the big thing. I think, and Brent and Chad just kind of went through example after example after example on how you could do that. Just communicate, over communicate.
Over communicate. It's good. So we'll kind of wrap this up. Do you guys have any questions? Please drop some questions in the queue. If we didn't address them already, please drop them again, and even at me. I'm fine with that. We said that we were going to do raffle, and we're still going to do a raffle. But I commented earlier that we had a bunch of Chris Wheelers in the chat. And I just assumed that Chris had done something silly. But I think what it is when we set out our calendar invite, they all just kind of went under Chris Wheeler. So we can't do a raffle to accurately represent who's here. So I need everybody to send us an email that you're here. And then we'll do the raffle afterwards, and we'll send out an email. So if you'll send an email to sales at, let's just do, I've got support up here. If you'll just send an email to support at tier2.tech, subject, I was there. I don't know. You could say something funny. We like funny emails. And we'll put you in the raffle, and we'll do that by the close of business today. And people that left early that messaged me, I'll also make sure that you get added. So that being said, any questions for our wonderful panel of people here? I'll give you guys a second. I don't know if I need to turn the Pokemon music back on. I like that. I like that strategy. I don't know if you guys are looking at the chat. I appreciate the info that was shared. Really appreciate y'all's time and experience for our first panel here.
One thing I saw come up in the chat there, Elizabeth, was a question about how do you handle, potential privacy concerns. I think one thing we've just gone through here is kind of redoing our MSA, our master services agreement with clients, and we've kind of worked some elements of that into there so that when they're signing up to do business with us, it's just an understood thing that in order to support them in the best way, there are certain things we just have to have. And, for us, Tier 2 tickets, help desk buttons is one of those things. And so they're generally okay with it. There is an element of screen recording, obviously, in the help desk button software there, but it's so valuable. It's so valuable to us to be able to see what they actually did, because they'll be sheepish about it. I didn't click on that. And you'll be like, no, actually you did. Right here in this recording.
Yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. Like Alex just commented, this is something that, as it's come up in conversation recently, we do some of the same things that an RMM does, but we do it faster and prettier. Again, that word fast and fun almost, for your technicians as well. Yeah, Ian.
Elle, I think you guys have an auto purge feature too, right? To auto purge the videos.
Yeah, we don't keep content longer than 90 days, and then a user can also opt out of submitting it as well. So those images are stored compressed in memory. We don't write them to disk until the user consents, and then also we don't hold that for a long period of time. And if you opt for our cloud compliance package, you can also manage that time to TCL.
That's the key piece, right? Like above and beyond just like, hey, I was doing whatever, right? I was emailing my significant other or whatever on work time. If you capture EPHI or protected, personally identifying information in the video after the diagnostic is done, if you're using the compliance package, just manage that time frame where that data is stored. It's fine for an outside party like an MSP to have EPHI on an MSP controlled system. Under a business associates agreement, it's fine to have all of that information in your system for the purpose of rendering diagnostic support, as long as it is purged on a routine auditable basis after a set amount of time. So, you hold those videos for 14 days or 30 days or 90 days, whatever, as long as you're specifying out that this is our process and it's understood by all, you're fine when it comes to regulatory compliance. Just get it out of your system.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. We also have pretty robust audit logs as well. So any of the stuff that your technicians are doing, you have the ability to lock things down or restrict them. We want to be impeccable with our approach to security. I love that this is the type of question that you guys ask with a lot of stuff that's happened in the world this week, last month, last year. These are questions that absolutely we should be asking, and we should be having transparent conversation about. So I love that this is a conversation. If you ever have any questions, talk to us directly, talk to any of your peers who are using Tier 2. This is something that we take very seriously, and we want you to feel good about it because this is our bread and butter. Security specifically, it's something that's important to us. So awesome. Any other questions, guys? You've been really wonderful today. Thanks for joining us on our first partner panel. We'll have more of these. We're going to shoot for once a quarter. Please email us at support@tier2.tech, and we'll do our raffle. If you can, email us in the next 15 minutes. I'll wait until I have 50 emails. That's 50 participants right now. So want to give someone a year of free service. And we're really, really happy to have each of you as a partner. Hope that you'll continue growing with us. So there's been some noise like on Reddit where why are vendors talking about people as partners? And we hope that this is a long-term relationship for us. We want to make a product and we want to grow with you. And we want to make sure that this is something that you're always happy to use. So I think that's all I've got. My friends on the panel, you got anything else that you want to add?
Keep your head up, everyone. It's scary out there. Like,
take your takeaways from today and get them implemented.
Yeah, I think that the word that I like that Ian used earlier was just having a strategy. Like when you get a strategy behind something like this and you start to get some of that early adoption, it just fuels you to complete, and get done what you need to get done. And once you get to the point where you have them rolled out, I mean, all the benefits we're talking about are just everyday things. It's those minutes, like Ian talked about, that you get back. It's those CSAT things where you're going, wow, we're getting killed with fast comments. This is awesome. Those things are a reality. So the quicker you can get from idea to implement it, the better off you are.
I love it. And we, like I mentioned in this What Now page, ask us for help. We want to help you build those things. We onboarded Brent, we onboarded Ian. I mean, Jared, your team's been fantastic and done plenty of the work as well, but like, we're here for you. We want to make it easy. You can get set up in less than half an hour. It's not painful. We're here for you. So Brent, Chad, Ian, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you guys have a great week, and everyone else, you know how to reach us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good afternoon.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Pokemon music.